Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Road to the Apocalypse, where we take a look at the roadmap for the Dead Linger. And let's see what we got going on here. So I'm at deadlinger.com, clicked on the roadmap. We are down somewhere in the servers and multiplayer. We talked about survival and free-for-all yesterday, PvP free-for-all. So let's take a look at PvP teams. So these are just going into more game types that they have. I like the little icons they put. Oh, nice. Look at that. Handshake. Love. Work together. And then let's see the icon for PvP free-for-all. Two fists duking it out. 100% damage to other players. No party creation. Not for the faint of heart. Oh, so that's definitely like your, well, like it says. That's your PvP. Excellent. Then we got PvP teams. Alright. Survive as long as possible. Parties are required to play. I can almost see this one would probably be more along my style. You're not the lone wolf fighting and killing everyone, but you and some friends, you're doing teamwork type aspects for PvP. So let's see what they have to say about that. It says this PvP game mode is your classic red versus blue team-based multiplayer frag fest, but set like a team deathmatch, I'm guessing, but set in the world and the gameplay of the Dead Linger, with the zombies littering the streets with no regard for alliances, and up to 8 teams fighting for survival and conquest in the world of the Dead Linger. You will not find another team-based multiplayer experience like it. This mode is currently designed, but is not currently available in the game. So at 10% for the PvP and PvP teams there, free-for-all and teams. So the way I'm really envisioning, the more I read and think about it, it pretty much, it's just would almost be like a lobby-based shooter at that point. Pop in, you're stuck on team, and that's almost how I could see it set up. So it's not like you go into the game and you find some folks and you say, hey, let's build our world and survive. Like, it's a mode specifically designed for team-based shooting, like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield 4. So I've had to kind of rethink my thinking on it. Like when I was thinking of the PvP free-for-all, in my mind I was originally thinking it's you go in, you're trying to survive against the zombies and stuff like that. But I think more along the lines of just like a free-for-all in, say, like a Call of Duty team match or something. Like for me, Call of Duty, that's a team-based lobby shooter. That's like the default mode. And to me, that right here would be the game type of PvP teams. Then if you went back into, say, a Call of Duty, I'm just using that as an example, but then that would be like going into the match where it's the free-for-all. That's that. You pop in, you're specifically going out to shoot anything that's moving, whether it's a zombie or another player. So, and my first thought was, well, it was just another survival type of mode, but actuality is the game type survival, since I've had a chance to really kind of digest and think this in, that's the game mode where you're trying to work together to stop the zombies, but you do have the potential for somebody to come on and play a bandit. So it has PvP designed into it, but you take less damage as a PvP because that's not the focus. The focus was trying to survive. That's the one where you're going to get your house, build your base, and then possibly defend your base from either other players or from the zombie hordes. Then when you move on to free-for-all or PvP teams, then that would be specifically popping in because you want to go and shoot other players. Now what's interesting though, because as they mentioned that they're going to give you control of the options for your server, I could see, I'll have to wait and see how it comes about, but they've improved the gameplay for the guns and the shooting and stuff like that. Melee still has a little bit of work to do to get that feel of melee combat, but once combat's done, I could see where somebody would turn off the zombies and the creatures altogether and just let you run around these 3D houses, because they have a lot that you can interact with. When my first thought when comparing it to like Call of Duty wasn't to compare the two style of games, they're different. What would be different with, like, say, the Dead Linger, when you have a PvP, either it's free for all or the team based, It's the fact that you can interact with the world in so many ways. Like currently, if you're going to do PvP, you can go into a home, barricade it, and like I have not tried to take down another person's barricades. Like I haven't multiplayered that way yet. Like I don't know if I could walk up and just take down some 2x4s or something that somebody else has put up. I mean, I could take my 2x4s down, but can you imagine if you're doing like the PvP team or the PvP free-for-all, you could have some people who are playing on the defense, and you got another couple of people who are chopping down trees, making 2x4s and plywood sheets, and then they're barricading the windows, and then boom, you have a base. You can't do that in a Battlefield 4 or a Call of Duty. Call of Duty is like this quick, actiony twitch shooter. You're just running through and you're just shooting things quickly. Battlefield 4, similar gameplay, but then when you have like, the vehicles and then huge buildings you can go in, but you can't barricade the building. So what that would definitely make the Dead Linger experience totally unique. Because even if you played like the free-for-all where it's just you against everybody else, if you went and kind of found your small corner of the world, and you got to remember, these worlds are huge. So that's going to be part of the challenge right there, is just finding other people. I don't know if they'll set it up to where you all spawn within a certain distance from each other, or put some sort of visual cues and indicators to help you find the other players. But if they don't, you could spend a really long time just trying to find the other people and then survive. And then you take on top of that, because that takes time, then you could either say, okay, I'm going to be the defensive player, where I'm going to set up my home, my stash, and just wait for them to try and find me. And then when they do come and find me, I've got my barricades and I'm well protected. Then if you do it the same way with the teams, if your teams don't start together, then you could really set up a community where we take turns harvesting the lumber and making these fortifications and stuff like that. Then you're still in survival mode because you still got zombies to deal with, you still got food, because that's something you don't do in Call of Duty. You don't have to worry about food, but in the Dead Linger, yeah, you still have to eat, and at some point you still got to find water. But add to that the fact that that you're actively trying to hunt down the other players. And what's so cool is, because those again are gameplay options, when you go into it, that's what's happening. If you go into it, it's like, in my mind, DayZ Standalone is an example of the PvP free-for-all. Sure, you can go in and you can talk to people and you could make a team, but it's not like they have a group party mechanic. You're just two people working side by side, and you say, yeah, let's work together. So that to me would be a pretty good example of the PvP free-for-all, but lacking barricading currently. Okay, as of April 8, 2014, they don't have huge barricading systems put in. Yeah, you can still go into buildings and stuff, but they don't have the barricades set up quite like the Dead Linger does yet. Not that the Dead Lingers is working quite perfectly yet, but I mean the basics are there. So I think that's what really sets the PvP apart, which might actually make it fun for me. Because see, when I do PvP for like Call of Duty, Battlefield 4 and whatnot, yeah, you're just running around and you're shooting stuff, but there's no aspects of worrying about food. There's no aspects of saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take this building, put up a bunch of barricades, and now they have to try and get in here to get at me. It almost reminds me of like Rust, because in Rust, in a way, you could call that a PvP free-for-all, and it's got crafting where you have to focus on building your house, gathering the wood and stuff like that. So in my mind, that's probably closer to a Dead Linger experience. Although they took their zombies out, because I'm not concerned that they took zombies out, but it kind of makes me think like they didn't want to be a zombie clone kind of a thing, so they went their own route. But that would be, in my mind, kind of the experience is like Rust. All right, but anyway, let's cover real quick exploration mode. Okay, so that's the next game type. So exploration mode would be, we have future plans eventually to add a game type that will allow survivors to explore a given world seed without the threat of zombies. This is exploration mode. This is a mode for survivors who appreciate the beauty of the dead Linger or want to scout out a world seed before trying it out with zombies in play. This mode is still in design work, but it may also include items, vehicles, non-zombie animals so that the survivor can partake in surviving and hunting in an empty or apocalyptic world. And there's the icon for that. No items, no gear, no zombies, no fear, limitless exploration. I think they would be better off with game type exploration mode having absolutely nothing in it. That's entirely what it is. You're just walking around. I would even go as far as to say turn off crafting and all that stuff, because if you want to do those things, go to survival mode and just turn off the zombies. Like, exploration mode should just be that. Well, I shouldn't say should. The whole point of the game is options, and that's what gives it power, is the options to kind of set up the way you want. At least that's what I've gathered from reading some emails and some things on the forums. But you know, the game is always ever changing. So my original thought on some of the things I've read for the game was that is you'll be able to turn on and off different aspects. And when they started posting about like zombie dogs and zombles and things like that, you know, they were saying, well, those would be options that you could turn off. So I could see that happening with the game in general. Sure, if you want an exploration mode, just do survival and turn off certain aspects of creatures that you don't want. See, like in 7 Days to Die, that's actually something you can do. The game world is exactly how it is, except if you want, you have the option to turn off the zombies. So then you just have to worry about survival, and then that is kind of like an exploration mode. You can check out the entire map and not even have to worry about the zombies and things coming to get you. So game type exploration mode, you know, in my mind I'm thinking, well, if you want to have that, just do survival mode but turn off the different creatures and things that you don't want to deal with. Now, exploration mode, what you could do is maybe have it where you could interact, survive, food. I mean, I just have no idea, because it says it may include items, vehicles, but those are all a may. So in my mind, exploration mode is just more of a chance to just walk around the world and look at things. I guess maybe you could, yeah, leave up the barricading and stuff, because it sounds like this would be a good way to just play the default game without worrying about anything. Food, like creative mode, that's what my son always calls it, creative mode. You can interact and do everything, but you don't have to worry about starving and falling and taking damage. So that would be, actually, I could see the benefit to that mode, because then you could just focus on maybe harvesting and crafting. I say crafting, but like, you know, some people like to build structures. So maybe exploration mode would be that creative outlet channel, because again, by the time they get the dead Linger really up and running, and I'm really looking forward to barricading, because that's going to be the chance that you're going to see people put together a lot of different wood structures, you know, different homes. Either find themselves the partially built house that has like all this lumber laying around it, and they can take that lumber and maybe go find trees but make some really creative structures, or take that wood and spend time taking one of those office buildings and making, you know, all kinds of stuff out of an office building. You know, that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I guess I can see the benefit of an exploration mode. Maybe in my mind, that's what creative mode would be called instead. So that's pretty exciting. Well, that's a wrap up of some of the initial game types: survival, free-for-all PvP, PvP teams, and exploration mode. How those will actually turn out, you know, we still have to wait and see. But I can definitely see how PvP would be super fun with the ability for, you know, making barricades. And then later on when they put in traps, could you imagine you can also put in the traps? Not only are they going to capture zombies, but, you know, you can set up traps and then capture people. You know, I mean, the gameplay there is going to be super dynamic as far as PvP goes. So I'm actually getting a little more excited about that, to think about it, because I'm just so used to lobby-based shooter type PvP that it's kind of like, been there, done that. But I forgot, you got to do it dead Linger style. That means you need to add in things like traps at some point. You're barricading, then that will add a whole new dynamic to it. Yeah, you might be upset if you spend all that time barricading something and then it gets destroyed, but remember, that was the whole point. So, maybe the playing solo might not be the best for me, but having a team where I pop in this group, we're working together to get food to stay alive and protect one another to build our base to hold off against other folks. And then that's like raids. Yeah, you might have a place that you're protecting that has a lot of resources, and so you're protecting it against other teams that are coming to get it. I mean, the possibilities really start to become limitless when you really think about how you apply it against the backdrop of the dead Linger game mechanics. So PvP might not be so bad. I might give that a try. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Leave some of your thoughts and opinions on PvP, and we'll share those opinions later. All right. Well, maybe not share them, but I'll read them and respond to them because I like to hear what you guys have to say. So anyway, have a good one.